Mike, some large businesses and their CEOs might be breathing a sigh of relief this morning. The Supreme Court is blocking the president's vaccine and testing requirement. It was aimed at convincing hesitant Americans to get their COVID-19 shots. Our Justice correspondent Candace Kelley joins us now to break down the court's opinion. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning.
Explain more about the court's decision.
Well, what the court said effectively is that when it comes to vaccine mandates for businesses that have 100 employees or more, that the mandates are not allowed, that you can't force them to take the vaccine, you can't force them to even get testing. But when it comes to healthcare workers, those who work in the healthcare industry, well, they are allowed to have these vaccine mandates. So it was kind of a two-pronged test. So the vaccines remain in place for those places who get federal aid, but for large employees, the administration cannot make employees at these large businesses get the vaccines.
So with this decision, we got a lot of insight into what the justices think about vaccines. What essentially did they say?
Well, it's interesting here because remember that there are two cases that are going through the legal system. So this decision really just made the final determination as to what should happen as those court cases make it through. So it's kind of temporary, but we get some insight as to what the Supreme Court justices might say. We have a graphic here that talks about their majority opinion where it says OSHA has never before imposed such a mandate, nor has Congress. Indeed, although Congress has enacted significant legislation addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, it has declined to enact any measure similar to what OSHA has promulgated here. So what they're saying is that the power does not fall within the federal government to actually make these types of decisions, that the Biden administration is really out of turn here. We also get a look at what the justices felt when it comes to large businesses as well as healthcare workers. When it comes to the larger businesses, of course, we did have a 6-3 majority talking about how this was not a fair piece of an enactment that the administration had. Now, if we break it down, 6-3 liberal justices dissent when it came to large employees that could not mandate vaccines. But when it comes to healthcare workers, it was a 5-4 split decision. We have the 3 liberal justices, but then we also have Chief Justice Roberts as well as Kavanaugh, who decided in that 5-4 decision that healthcare workers should get the vaccine. And then an interesting note from Justice Sotomayor. She said that this really isn't necessarily a mandate, and many people have been making this argument that when it comes to large businesses, people are actually given a choice. They're given a choice to get vaccinated or they can get tested every week for COVID. But there's no mandate there. So we got a little bit of insight, too, about what she actually felt about it, and that this isn't a mandate at all, in that there is a choice that is given, therefore canceling out the mandate in this. So we'll see how these cases wind their way through the courts. Again, this is not the final decision, but certainly does shed a lot of light.
Candace, another case we're following is the defamation trial of Cardi B in Georgia. She sued a popular YouTuber. Cardi B took the stand yesterday with some pretty powerful testimony. What did she say?
Yeah, very powerful testimony. Now, many people may know Tasha K, this very big YouTube blogger who has 1 million followers on her YouTube. She goes live many times. She calls herself news. She also calls herself gossip. What she did say, though, on these videos, and that was key so far in this trial, is that she is on YouTube saying things like Cardi B has herpes, that Cardi B might be hurting her child because of her medical state, that she's a prostitute, that she takes cocaine. So all of this came to a crux when we saw Cardi B take the stand. Cardi B has for a couple of years saying that she's going to sue this blogger because what she thought that she was saying was just ridiculous and unseemly. When she took the stand, it was interesting to hear her say that she thought about committing suicide and that this interrupted her relationship with her husband Offset, that she didn't want to sleep with him anymore, that she felt anxiety, that she felt just a lot of pressure because of this woman, Tasha K, who actually went on YouTube and has been for years ranting about Cardi B for things that are seemingly untrue. In fact, when Tasha K took the stand earlier this week, there was really nothing that she can say in her defense. A lot of people are looking at this case and saying, well, not whether or not Tasha K is going to win or lose, but how much money will Tasha K lose? Now, Cardi B is asking for $75,000, but there are punitive damages. And what about lawyers' fees? Cardi B has $1 million in lawyers' fees so far. It is not looking good for Tasha K at all.
I think that this is a big deal because this could have huge implications on what people are able to post online. Vloggers, bloggers, you know, up until now, there was sort of this precedent that people could just come at you if you were a public figure or a celebrity and really say anything that they want about you without consequences.
And you know, that's interesting that you say that, because Tasha K, while she was on the stand, she said the same thing. She said, listen, I can say what I want. She's a celebrity. She has the money to pay me. In fact, she filed a counterclaim lawsuit saying that some of Cardi B's people and fans had harassed her. She lost that lawsuit. But you're right. If Cardi B wins this lawsuit, or shall I say when she wins this lawsuit, it's going to be quite a precedent-setting decision, because of the fact that, as you said, there are many YouTube vloggers who are out there who make their money based upon and on the backs of celebrities and their demise. And when you know, people who haven't looked at Tasha K or heard her, you should go online, and to see the vitriol for no reason at all. I'm not sure why she doesn't like Cardi B, but I know why she does like her, because she made a lot of money for her. She gets a lot of endorsements, and as I said, she got 1 million viewers. But this is a good lesson for everyone when it comes to defamation. Like your mother and father used to say, watch your mouth. And when it comes to this type of situation, watch your mouth, because there are legal consequences. Tasha K got a couple of cease and desist letters. And what she said was that she would wipe her backside with these cease and desist letters. Well, I think she's certainly having another sentiment about those cease and desist letters right now.
Yeah, and on the flip side, you know, as a public figure or as a celebrity, you know, you're always sort of taught to turn the other cheek or take the higher ground, or, you know, not address situations if you know what they're saying about you isn't true. But we're also seeing a flip in the stance that Cardi B is taking. What implications can that have?
Well, you know, Cardi B thought about this for a long time until it really got to her. And what she did was she made the commitment to sue this woman. She even reached out to her, and Tasha K said, well, why don't you come on my show and then you can talk about it? And that wasn't the point. The point was that she was lying. And so Cardi B is taking time out of her schedule. She's, you know, down in Georgia, making sure that she is there for this 2-week trial. And what it says is that celebrities aren't playing anymore, and that you cannot play with someone's reputation. It's difficult to say that someone is a prostitute and say, oh, I just take that back. My mistake, my bad. Well, the damage is already done, and that's why we have defamation law. Because if you are killing my character and my reputation and really my trademark and what I represent, when you're someone who's as huge as Cardi B, you're taking money away from my pocket. You are diminishing who I am out there, and she worked very hard to do that. And if any other celebrity follows in her suit, we will see more lawsuits, because this really will be a precedent. As I said, I don't see how Tasha K can win this. She even went on the stand and said, I was lying. I didn't know that this was the truth, and I said it anyway. Well, that's your case right there.
Wow. Candace Kelley, thank you so much for your insight this morning.